Hey, good morning, everyone. To today's webinar. And before we start, one webinar, and I trust it will be very, very fruitful. Now, I just want to give you a few ground rules. The first one is that this is a webinar, which means that it's somewhere where you can talk back, where you can, at the bottom right of your, and in that chat room, we encourage you to post your comments, write your comments there, and get involved, because it's not just live streaming. We would like you to get involved, and that will be awesome. Now, a few things is that if you just to refresh your internet browser, and that will be okay. Just refresh the browser again. And then if for some reason you have to leave the room, when you come back, just click on the link and you will join us again. If I go off, we'll come back online again. So as we said, we are getting used to this and interacting together. Now, the topic and the series that we are studying now is called Habits That Distinguish. Habits That Distinguish. And today we're looking at part one of that series, and it has to do with digging your own well. Now, in a short time, this is a subject very close to my heart. Let me refresh a bit. Let me refresh a bit, and then I'll come back on. Okay. I'm back on again. I just want to refresh. Now, I want to go straight, and as I was mentioning, is that we're going to look at habits that distinguish. And the first habit is or digging your own well. Now, I'll go straight into my presentation, and I want you to just stay with me as we look at what is in the subject today. Habits distinguish. Now, the first thing we're going to look at, these are positive habits that are beneficial to living a fruitful and a significant life. Now, a habit is a tendency to act in a particular way. It's an established custom. It's a usual practice. It's attitude. So in habits that distinguish, you're looking at, like we said, a mental attitude. And so we are trying to, in this new normal with the COVID-19 and the lockdown, we have to start reprogramming ourselves, start thinking differently. And that's what dig your own well and habits that distinguish is all about. Now, the first part, as we mentioned, is dig your own well. We're going to look at, this is what I'm anchoring my subject on. We're going to look at scriptures, and we're going to anchor Genesis 20, verse 17 to 18. So Isaac moved away to the opened the wells that his father had dug, which the Philistines had filled in after Abraham's death. Isaac also restored the names that Abraham had given them. So we're looking at what Isaac did. We're looking at what Abraham did. Now, Isaac, first point I want you to notice that his father Abraham had dug. His father Abraham was a pioneer, and which means that everywhere he settled, he had to dig wells, get water for himself and for his numerous livestock. And so throughout his lifetime, Abraham dug 4 wells, and he named them Isaac, Sitna, Rehoboth, and Sheba. He named each one of them. And so wells were a major source of strife. It wasn't just like you would dig and it will be okay, because after Abraham died, the Philistines blocked the openings of these 4 walls by throwing in sand and stone, and they even changed the names of wells. So Isaac had to redig these wells and restore the names that his father had named them. Now, everywhere, and we bring it down to today, everywhere that you choose to settle, you have to dig your own well. This means that you have to find a livelihood by which you sustain yourself. Now, as we look at Abraham, Abraham had to dig the wells. He had to find something to sustain his family. And we see that after his death, the Philistines, his enemies, they blocked these wells. They blocked the openings of the 4 wells. And so Isaac, in his generation, after his father had passed away, had to redig these wells. And so that's very interesting. Now, the second thing is that Isaac to create his own legacy. His father's legacy, which the Philistines had worked so hard to erase. And so in the process, he created his own legacy. And verse 19 to verse 21, we look at Isaac's story. This is Isaac's story. Isaac's servant also discovered a well of fresh water. But then the shepherds came and claimed the spring. This is our water, they said, and they argued over it with Isaac's herdsmen. So Isaac named the well Isaac, which means argument. Now remember, he is renaming the same wells as his father had named them. Now Isaac's men then dug another well, but again there was a dispute over it. So Isaac named it Sitna, which means hostility. And abandoning that one, Isaac moved on and dug another well. This time there was no dispute. So Isaac named the place Rehoboth, which means open space. For he said, at last the Lord has created enough space for us to prosper in this land. I want you to reflect that Isaac experienced some strife. Have you ever experienced any Philistines who used sand and stones to steal or block the wells that you have? Renaming your well is the same as that person or persons attributing your success to witchcraft, to corruption, or something similarly bizarre, instead of agreeing that the Lord is with you. Now, we're looking at what Isaac went through. What after his death, the Philistines, his enemies in that day, they came, they filled the wells, and they blocked them and changed the name. Isaac in his generation had to redeem names that his father had named them. But also Isaac went through a major battle. But I like a statement. Let me go back to this statement that Isaac had. It says, abandoning, if you can read with me, abandoning that one, Isaac moved on. Now, it's very interesting because it's only described in 3 words. Isaac moved on. And so we see here the strength of Isaac was his ability to move on and adapt. So in spite of what was going on, in spite of the challenges that he was facing, in spite of and striving with him again and again, Isaac had the ability to move on, to adapt. And I think this is very relevant to where we are at today. I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar that this is a new normal. Things have changed for us, and we have our strength and to adapt to what is happening now. That will be the key. In digging your own well, you have to have the ability to move on and to adapt to any new normal that comes your way. The third aspect I want to look at is the willingness to fight for your dream qualifies you for its achievement. This is a statement by Dr. Mike Murdock. The willingness for you to fight for your dream qualifies you for its achievement. Remember, Isaac had to move on. He adapted from Sitna, from reap now. Where there was striving, all the wells where there was striving, he had to. Isaac, he moved on from Isaac to Sitnah. From Sitnah, he moved on to Rehoboth. Now, let's look at this. Abraham, his father, was willing to fight for his wells because he was the one who had dug them in the first place. He did not have the option of waiting for someone else to dig a well, then go and ask for water. He did not have the luxury of inheriting someone else's well. Abraham had to dig his own well. And so there will be certain seasons in your life, granted, where you may need to ask for water. For example, ask for help from other people who have already dug their own wells. They have a head start in life by inheriting, like Isaac did, the wells of others. However, no matter where you're at today, whether maybe or you've inherited someone's well, so to speak, into our own. In digging your own well, and I'll talk about this later, there has to come a time when we take responsibility for our own life, that we come into our own. It is crucial to make every effort to dig your own wells. And today my prayer for you is that God will grant you the strength, God will grant you the patience until you get your own water. Amen. The fourth aspect we're going to look at today is that take your destiny into your hands. The reason why Isaac named that well Rehoboth, because he said, at last the Lord has made. And we'll talk about this is my thing. This is my well. Finally, I've come into that which is my own. In John chapter 5, verse 5 to 7, there was a certain man who had been ill for 38 years. When Jesus noticed this man lying there helpless, knowing that he had been in that condition a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to get well?" And the invalid answered, "Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. And while I am coming to get into it myself, someone else steps down ahead of me." Please look at what I have. This man had been ill for 38 years. And the question that Jesus asked him is, do you want years? Isn't it obvious? But some things, Jesus never took things obvious because he wanted the man to recognize what was his real need. And today, this man needed someone to help him get on his feet. He desperately needed a hand up. And Jesus did that. Jesus gave him a hand up. However, afterwards, if you read a few texts later, when the man was healed and he was okay, when he went on his way, Jesus met him later and he asked him, "Stop sinning, or something even worse may happen to you." Now that you are well, before Jesus asked him, "Do you want to get well?" And the man said, "I have no one to help me. I have no one to help me." And granted, to help you. We all need someone to help us. We all go through seasons in life where we need someone to lift us up and to encourage us and to bring us to the place where we can sustain ourselves. But once that is done, the question that Jesus asks us, Jesus basically told him that he had to take responsibility for his life from now on. Now that I've healed you, now that you are well, no matter how long you've been ill, now you have to take responsibility for your own life. And so we must overcome any mindset or habit we may have of blaming others for our situations. And today the charge is this: dig and keep digging until you get what works for you. Regardless of what is going on around you, the question that Jesus asks, and I wrote here with all due respect, corona or no corona, and that is a serious thing. because it's a new normal for all of us. But Jesus is asking you today. I'm not talking about tomorrow, not talking about next week, but the question that Jesus is asking you today is, do you want to get well? In habits that distinguish, in part one, where we're looking at dig your own well, the question is this, is that what is your life? I don't want you to look around and think about the situation we are in, because this question, it can be answered regardless of the circumstances that we are going through. In digging your own well, it's you saying, I am taking responsibility for my own life. Maybe there's been a time I need help, and every time we ask for help, help will come to us. Sometimes to ask for that help, to look at what options that we have. But at the end of it all, when all is said and done, the bottom line is this question: what do you want? What is your dream? Purpose do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? Significance? Do you want to achieve success? What do you want for your finances? What do you want for what do you want? Jesus asked him, do you want to get well? And let me go back to the back slide to just go and where Jesus says that at the bottom there, now that you are well, is an indication of let me conclude. I hope that has been clear. The first conclusion I want is finding your well. Take responsibility for your life. Don't play the blame. Admit that you are where you are today because of the decisions and the choices that you have made. Today is the beginning of the rest of your life. The decisions that you make today, right now, will decide the next season of your life. Please know that the decision that I make today decides the next season of my life. I will take responsibility for my own life. Secondly, protecting your well. Drive persistently in focused pursuit of your dream. Persistence is the ability to continue steadfastly in the same purpose, steadfastly in your particular purpose, regardless of the temptation to chase something else that looks more enticing. And so protecting your well, first is finding that well, saying, you know what, I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to make some decisions today, but after that, I will be persistent. I will be focused. I will not be tempted to chase something else and may look more enticing. And then thirdly, maintaining my well. Develop patience and endurance. Patience is waiting quietly. You see, take time. And so once you find what works for you, once you have pursued it and you're persistent, you have to be patient. You have to say, I'm going to work at this. A mango tree takes longer to produce fruit than a maize. Depending on what you're building, depending on how deep a well you're digging, because the deeper you dig, the more you find water very close to the surface, it may not be as much. But if you keep digging and stay focused and have patience, because some of these things take a long time. But endurance is the ability to continue despite fatigue, despite stress, despite any adverse conditions, including what we are going through right now. And so those three things are the things that we're going to have some questions that will help you to define. Protect it. Protect your legacy. In the same way that Abraham protected the wells so that his son Isaac, you see, at least Isaac had something to redig because his father protected. And then Isaac as well, he protected those wells. He fought as hard as he could. And so driving and then finally maintaining that well. Patience. We're going to be patient. We're going to wait and we're going to persist and endure until the end. Now, three questions I'd like us to look at today. And At the bottom right, the question number 1, have you experienced your Rehoboth yet? Do you feel like you're finally doing? There is no, not yet. I do not know. I thought I had, but I might have to start again. Please start answering. Have you found what works for you? Have you found your Rehoboth? Do you feel like what you're doing right now works for you? And please put in the answers right there, and that will help you. I think, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We can see those answers coming in. Thank you. Okay. So that's, please, yes, we need 100% of you answering. And I know it's sometimes, yeah. Many of you, 60% of you are saying that I thought I had, but I might have. And I think that is being sensitive to you. That is true regarding the current situation we are in. We are all having to rethink. As a pastor, as a preacher, I was used to speaking to an audience, a live audience. But now we have to adjust to being online. We have to adjust to being able to capture a new audience, adjust to this. Question is this. Thank you so much. 86% of you have answered. Thank you so much. Second question, reflect on the source of strife. Has it been from within or without? If you've experienced strife, from within means your own struggles, maybe your own self-doubt. Sometimes we are our own greatest enemies. Where has been your striving been with regard to? Or from without? Within could also mean people closest to you. Without could be, Philistines out there, maybe the economy, maybe the government, maybe, I don't know, the economic situation. That's without. And so, or you're saying it has been both. Which one has been? Because it will help you to understand. Many of you are saying, it's interesting, the answers. Please keep answering. We need more of you answering that question and thinking through it. And so we have a 50-50 from within. Some are saying both. Most of you are saying, okay. And so from within. And so it's knowing your enemy is to now, how do I protect my well? How do I learn to silence the voices in my head and persist? Come on, and move forward. The third question is, how would you describe the level of strife? Has it been normal? Has it been little or none? Maybe right now, if you look at where you're at now, where has it been? Too much? Today, by praying for you, because I feel we need to pray together and speak something new normal. Thank you for responding. Thank you so much for responding. I'm going to move out of and stop sharing right now. And I want to agree with you in prayer. Before we pray, I want you to, if you have someone, I believe this is being a blessing. Many people are telling us it's being a blessing to them. Register now. You can register now. So 3 people have clicked. Okay, I can see more of you are registering. Come on, this is happening. We're going to dig our own wells. And today, even as I said earlier, that God is giving us the grace and the strength to
Pastor was near his finish. We'll see if he comes online again. But we would love to thank you for attending the sermon and completing all the polls. You will see at the end, we really encourage you to register for next week's session. I work with the pastor in the background. And thank you a lot for attending. This brings us to the end of the sermon. And we would like you guys to just leave a comment on the pastor's page. Once the webinar is finished, we will you will see it'll go to the pastor's website, At the bottom, you will see it says comment. Please leave a comment. And we would like to see you online next week, next Sunday at 11:30. And please, if you enjoyed this session, leave it in the comment. I can see the pastor is joining again. You can leave a comment for the pastor, and we would really like you to send out the link that more people attend. Thank you again for attending. We really appreciate it. I'm going to wait. There's the pastor. Hi, Alfred. It's I just quickly to talk to your audience. I think you're welcome to just end off with him.
Thank you. I lost signal there, but I believe today has been fruitful to you. Thank you so much for all your comments. My internet was struggling a bit, but the bulk of the message. And it is my prayer that God will give you the grace and the strength to keep digging and digging until you find water. The question, what do you want with your life? At the end of your life, what do you want people to say about you and to say, this is what I accomplished? That legacy, what legacy do you want to leave behind? When you can answer that question, I believe you will begin to find that sermon. And thank you so much. And